we've all heard about the Inflation Reduction Act. And if you're like me, you can feel the inflation melting away since its passage. But I'm curious, are real estate investors, could they stand to be negatively impacted by the passage of that, or is it still too soon to tell?
Generally speaking, no. The vast majority of that bill deals with C corporations and reinstatement of some nice tax breaks that they were getting, or reduction of taxes. And it deals primarily with the energy, like alternative energy segments, wind, solar, geothermal, right? Those kinds of places. So generally speaking, in what I have read so far, no, real estate investors shouldn't be stressed about it. The area that I think widespread Americans are most worried about are the $87 billion over the next 3 years that's going to the IRS of additional funding.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are some best practices a real estate investor or any business owner should employ to be prepared for the possibility of audits, right? That's what I think most people fear.
That's exactly right. It is fear of audits, and the IRS has come out and said we're gonna go after flow through entities a little bit more. So those are typically lower dollar figure audits, meaning the IRS has less chances for large revenues compared to like a C corporation, but there's still potential revenue there for the IRS, and they want to start going after them. So best practices are, number one, make sure you have a good CPA or accountant that's helping you out, that's advising you on what you can and can't do, and is making sure that filings are done properly. The second thing would be, it's all about documentation under IRS audits. Why we're doing what we're doing and tracking what it is that we are doing. The worst audits are one that somebody gets audited and the IRS says, okay, provide me with your financial statements for your business. And they say, well, what are those? Right? Like that's no good. At that point, you are
on the back of the napkin somewhere.
That's right. You're trying to swim upstream up Niagara Falls kind of a thing. You're dead in the water at that point. So making sure that your information is documented. An example of a great turnout is client got audited. This client was very meticulous. And usually when you get audited, it's going to be for a 2 to 3 year period. The IRS is usually auditing 3 years in arrears, and they'll audit from that time to current. That is an ordinary practice. And so he got pulled for audit. The auditor said, okay, I want to have this meeting. And he walked in with 3 banker's boxes. And those banker boxes had folders for every month. And within those folders for every month, he had a folder for every single category of all of his deductions. And inside those folders were receipts. The auditor pulled off 2 box lids, went through about 15 folders, put the box lids back on, and said to the client, have a nice day. And that was it. I mean, at that point, he knew things were all buttoned up. Now, areas where I would become nervous for audits, of like things that would potentially raise flags for audit, are lack of officer compensation in S corporations, or significantly underpaid officer compensations. Meals, right? If somebody is claiming $30,000 of business meals, unless you have significant revenue, and we're talking about you're hosting events, like that's a lot of meals. I don't even know that I could spend $30,000 a year eating out. Like, I feel like that's hard for me. So meals is one area that I would be careful of. The other thing that I would say I would watch out for is losses being shown on sole proprietors. Oftentimes people will start a business, show losses, and then close the business down. I would worry about that, because there's a specific designation in the IRS code that deals with what are called hobby losses, and we don't want to get pushed into this IRS designation of a hobby loss. So we want to make sure businesses are legitimate. So first, having a good CPA. Second, making sure you've got good documentation and financials.